This is an interesting one. It's way harder than the first, so forgive me if this takes a couple tries, but we're just going to do it as best we can. We've got Mednafen as the target this time, and we have debugging symbols. Sorry, I say we have debugging symbols. We have symbols, and they're useful for debugging, but we won't use any of them except to remember what's going on. So that's important to understand. And then if we just run our program, you should be able to see everything. My cursor, yep, my cursor is there. So yeah. Now you can't see the Mednafen, so we'll do that. And cool, it's visible. So you can see that the program is running and I have control over it. See if you can see my cursor. Oh, weird. Oh no, you can't because, yeah, Mednafen is frozen. Yep, got it. There, now you can see I am in control because I have, yeah, okay. So now if we open up the debugger, we aren't going to do much in here. We're just going to open up the debugger here. And you probably can't see it very well, but we're going to break at a certain point where some interesting stuff is going on. And that address is B674. So B674, break there. And so the value that we're trying to get here is this 28.4a. Just make sure that y'all can see. My cursor is indeed showing you the 284a here, right? So how do we find that in GDB? Well, there are slow ways and there are fast ways. So we're going to go for the fast way. So let's unshow that, and then Control C doesn't harm the program. If we do info threads, we see that there are 18 threads running, and I found this one here is the interesting one. You don't necessarily get the names when threads, but in this case we do. So if we switch to thread 15, we can see, aha, CPU, yeah, this is what we want, right? And we've done this before, so I know what I was going to get into. Next step is info files. So that is generally useful command that gives you these addresses for these sections, right? Entry point as well. It also tells you, the file, but we want this address specifically, and then we want this address. So that's first and last, and that is all we need from that. The rest kind of useless. So we're going to run find and then the start address, and then comma the end address, comma, and then the data. If I go back here, I can see it was 284A, but because we're on a little endian, it's backwards, right? So if I do that, we see we get 4 matches, right? And what you'll do is, if you don't have the names, you just go through each one, right? Makes sense? But because I know what's going on here, I've done this before, you can see this one here looks suspicious, and so we could actually use this, or we could use this. And I'll use this because it's not a name. And so if we do x/16bx on that with the 0, we see 5C000000000028 And if we go back to Mednafen, you'll be able to see my cursor, 5C00000028 And so that is our RAM. And So we have successfully gone from a value that we are interested in. This is specifically the RNG for Tetris Gym. And we've gotten an address for it, right? So it's this. So what do you do with that information? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. You can poke, but we won't do that today. Today we are only going to be doing a watch. So how do you watch? And then the value is this. I think that's correct. And so if we do continue, no break yet, but if we hit R, it broke. And of course, I didn't show you the Mednafen. We pressed R in Mednafen, but you get the idea. When this changes, you get a break and you get the exact function. So if you didn't have this name, you would have a notion of what's happening. And so that's actually good news for us, right? Because we have now found a piece of code that writes and also the value, right? So if we do continue here, we can see it changed again. Continue again, didn't change. So let's bring back Mednafen, and we can see it's paused here. So you can see that indeed, if we remove the breakpoint and hit R, it's frozen. Look here. GDB has broken. So then we hit continue here, and we can see all the values that end up in that value, right? So now we have pretty good control over the execution of this file. We can write values in the future. That will be one of our next things. And I think that's all we got for you today. We set a watch point. We found a value in memory, and info files, info threads, switch to thread. Those are all important things that you'll need for dynamic reverse engineering. I'll see you next time. Good luck on all your projects, Tetris or otherwise.